This is Anna Patterson with the North Carolina Housing Coalition. Thank you for joining us this morning for our housing call. And without further ado, I will turn it over to our Director of Housing Policy, Stephanie Watkins Cruz.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are having a great day so far, a great week so far. This is likely to be the quickest housing call we have had in a while because there's a lot happening this morning. One of which is the KHEC Partners Conference in Raleigh at the Convention Center. So if you're going to be there, please make sure you say hi. I will be presenting shortly around advocacy and messaging. The top three things I want to bring to your attention on this morning's call. First, we'll start with the federal budget. So the federal budget for fiscal year 2026 continues to propose, it's just moving in a really dangerous direction. It proposes dangerous cuts for housing and community development programs nationwide and threatens to shift major resource responsibility to states. The second thing I want you all to know is that as we move through the state budget process, it's really important that you continue to reach out to your state members in the General Assembly and ask them to restore the Workforce Housing Loan Program funding in the final budget to $35 million. In the House version of the budget, the Workforce Housing Loan Program is only funded 1 year out of the 2 years the budget is listed for. And in the Senate version of the budget, there's no funding for the Workforce Housing Loan Program. As many of you might know, the Workforce Housing Loan Program is a critical state resource. It's one of the biggest tools we have for affordable housing development because it provides that gap financing and allows projects that typically would not be feasible in rural and harder to develop areas to actually happen. This year alone, if we look at the projects that are likely to receive awards, they will need around $30 to $35 million. And that's just a new construction, and that's almost 1,200 units. Also want to ask you to make sure, the third thing is duplicate. So we have the federal budget. Full proposal on the housing budget request was released on May 30th. So we need you to be engaging with your members around the dangers of these cuts and also around the reconciliation bill, which ironically has some really good provisions for the affordable housing tax credit. And then we want you to reach out to your state elected officials, especially if any of them are on the appropriations committees in the House or Senate, to restore wealth. In our call notes, if you make sure that you go through them and you listen back to this recording, you'll see that we have several links to not only the full fiscal year 2026 budget request, but a full overview and analysis from our partners at the National Low Income Housing Coalition. Their comparison and analysis chart for housing and community development programs fiscal year 2025 and fiscal year 2026 so far. So we have that chart, we have a whole table, and then we have another link which kind of details the cuts and what funding levels are actually needed, as well as what the impacts would be. I mentioned in the second item, which is a little chunky, so sorry for it being long, is in addition to advocacy around the fiscal year 2026 budget, we're asking for advocacy around the fiscal year 25 budget reconciliation bill. So this bill recently passed in the House, and it actually includes some of the biggest low-income housing tax credit expansion provisions that we've seen in at least a quarter century. And our friends at Novogradac estimate that this would actually lead to the development of over 500,000 additional affordable rental homes over the next 10 to 12 years. So we have a toolkit for all the federal advocacy, budget advocacy that we're asking you all to do. And at the state level, we also have links to who the members of the House Appropriations Committee and the Senate Appropriations Committee are, as well as some pieces in the news about the Workforce Housing Loan Program that we want you all to check out. We also have a list of the bills that may cross over. And we mentioned some of the bills that we're going to continue to lift up and track over the next coming weeks, and that we hope we can see pass while they're also doing all of this budgetary work. And with that, like I promised, this is going to be a really quick call. We have a lot of great stuff for you in the call notes. Make sure you check those out, and we'll talk to you next time.